as both or all three companies giving back to the community. It's not going to be a commercial talk or anything. It's just going to be talking about Kafka, what it's done for the guys at what we call NHN, in short. And kind of they were here, both Frederick and Simon were there from the start. So how they started with event streaming in the first place and up until where it is today. Well, it's a smaller group, so therefore we can answer all the questions in person, take time for all the sessions. So feel free to jump in whenever. And if you want to get their signatures, make sure you do that because they talk in the Kafka Summit as well in 2 days. And after that, there's gonna be queues. So if you want to get their signature, today's the time. Without further ado, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Yeah. We have a mic. We need to
Yeah,
use the
we need
mic,
to
so.
share this mic.
Testing, 1, 2. Yeah, okay. So I'm Frederick. We probably can go to the next slide. Usually we do this in the other direction, but yeah, I'm Frederick Beckvold. I've been doing development and systems for about 20 years, more or less. I've worked in some really complicated systems, oil and gas, e-commerce, banking, really big and complex domains and fun domains. The more complex, the more the fun I have. But yeah, the last 3 years I've been working in Norsk Helsenett, implementing async distributed systems. And we have implemented Kafka as a sort of a foundation to make this work. Yeah.
And I'm Simon. My background is, well, I've been at Norsk Helsenett for, I don't know how many years that would be, too many, but yeah, various project roles from the really tiny ones to the huge ones that have run there over the years, I feel. And now for the past 3 years, more or less, I've been working with Kafka and really our introduction of Kafka both to the company, but also to the healthcare sector, I would say. There have been some kind of attempts at going into distributed systems and similar things, but I think we are probably the first ones doing really Kafka in the healthcare sector. So yeah. In Norway. I hope other healthcare sectors have had fun with it. Not only us, but oh well, yeah. Who knows? So yeah, the next 20 minutes that we've set up, we will go through, we have to talk a bit about what we are doing and the challenges we have faced and how we worked with them. So we'll take a look at that. And at the core of this, as our title also alluded to, it's a lot of, well, very coupled things in the healthcare sector, not just in the human body. So that's kind of at the core of it. And the final roundup section was more on how we actually bridge all these silos that are working together. So, you start. Sure, we can do it that way this time. So where it all starts out is that we have had sick people in Norway, and Norway is still a relatively tiny country population-wise and still rather large geographically. So when somebody gets sick, maybe the traveling doctor came by, rode into the fjord in a boat once every 2 years or something and treated them. Maybe they actually were lucky enough to be able to go visit a doctor. Maybe they even lived in one of the 1 or 2 cities and had hospitals. But the information really traveled with the patient or with the caregiver. So there was a really distributed system with nothing talking together at all. And today, the figures look a bit different in the content.
Yeah. Now we are about 5.5 million people in Norway. That's not a lot. In London, there's about 8-9 million. So, yeah. We live in municipals. They have a lot of responsibilities, especially around the healthcare. Every municipal is responsible to giving the same care to every person in Norway.
No matter where you live.
Yeah, if you
barren rock in the middle of the ocean.
That's right, and if you live right in the center of Oslo, you get the same treatment. So the municipals have that responsibility. But to do all the work, we have around 400,000 healthcare personnel, and that is not including the administrative people. the staff. We're organized in 4 different regions. We looked up London. There's about 5 regions in London, and we also have about the same amount of hospitals. So we're not that off, I think, in Norway. But yeah, because of the organization, because how we started out with distributed organization since beginning in healthcare, we're still a distributed organization. We have 17,000 organizations that need to be connected in some way. And that is a lot of connections.
Yeah, and also what really comes to show here is one thing, the weird scale of things, and also the interesting part of the organization, because many of these actors, perhaps most of them, if you look at the journaling systems and such, are actually private entities. Yeah. Norway loves private entities for everything, actually, even though everybody should get same care. So it makes interesting situations like that.
Yeah, and talking about the responsibilities here, the 17,000 organizations are, as it stands here, they're individually mostly responsible for taking care of each patient's journal. So 17,000, not optimal, different journals out there, and potentially my journal is spread across 3 or 4 or 5 different entities. And that is an interesting fact here. But yeah,
so at this point, we started digitizing things in the 90s, I believe it was, somewhere
late
like that.
90s, early.
Yeah. So at that time, somewhere after Norway discovered oil, they discovered that email exists and that can be used. Yeah. And you have this glorious EBXML standard that some people wrote that is very cool and probably can never be practically applied because it's too complex. But they tried and they got there. So the standard specified that every communication should, of course, be agreed upon upfront. This was built on the old agreement between telco providers to automate their billing and whatnot. So every channel has to be pre-specified. It has to specify the sender's keys, the recipient's keys, everyone's keys. So every connection between all these thousands of organizations is completely individual. Yeah. And to handle all of that, Norsk Helsenett, the company, was created to well, first of all, did the ditches and put fiber to the hospitals and doctors' offices, but thereafter shortly to actually ship information over the infrastructure.
Yeah, and we also built some systems to make this happen. So we needed some systems where every sort of postbox was available. Adresseregister, that is called in Norwegian, or the phone book in English.
They named it, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it also grew some other systems as well. And what you can see here is sort of the spaghetti of connections that we get between all the entities here.
Yeah, because it was really, as new systems were made, they were really much on the same patterns. It's like, hey, we make a journaling system. How do you do that? It has to talk to everything because everyone has journals. Yeah. We make the citizens' health portal, the webpage, so that they only have to think they interact with one actor. Well, that also has to talk with everything then. Digital prescriptions is connected to everything. Yeah. So that goes down. Very many things go down.
Yeah.
I think we mentioned at the NDC talk a couple of years ago how we took down all of the messaging in the healthcare sector by an unfortunate edit. That was fun.
Yeah.
So really tight integrations. But what we kind of started working towards was that the external actors being related to Norsk Helsenett via one integration, or actually we have an English name now, Norwegian Health Network. The Department of Health finally made it.
Thanks.
It's not going to stick for years.
Yeah.
But the challenge is that these systems that had sprung up internally, some were absorbed from the Department of Health after they figured out that, hey, they should be a governing body, not a production house, fun times. We still had this kind of star pattern where everything is tightly coupled to everything, which...
Yeah. But you can also see that the different parts in the health sector is sort of connected to us, to Norsk Helsenett. And we are operating these services because they were in sort of put onto us as a responsibility here. But the systems inside, they are really tight coupled. And that is an issue. And that is one of the issues that we want to sort of fix here.
So we proposed this crazy thing that instead of everything integrating with new fancy APIs, I think it was like 3 years ago when I was at 3-4 years ago, just now. Wow. The People's Registry, that they were like finally discovered Open API and everything can now finally be REST and not SOAP. Revolutionary. And then we said that, but wait, you can integrate through Kafka instead. You can focus on the data.
Yeah.
And one of the first objections we got was, heresy. We already have all these single points of failures that we hate. Why would we make an even more giant single point of failure? We already struggle with taking down everything with DNS.
Yeah. So you swap out one single point of failure with another single point of failure. That was one of the things that we got. But Kafka is really not a single point of failure.
It's a distributed system.
It is a distributed system in itself, and that it actually implementing it helps us implement distribution in a good way.
And at this point, I think we already here should mention that by the time we proposed this, in NHN, the last time you worked there, we already had a foray into making our own homegrown distributed systems.
We'll talk about that tomorrow.
No, the day after tomorrow.
Yeah,
but yes.
Yeah, on Wednesday.
So distributed systems are hard but fun.
And we've tried to make our own homegrown. Don't do it. We'll give you.
We'll get into details on that. But anyways, so a bit of the reason this has taken some time for us is that the organization was extremely skeptical given their previous experiences with homegrown things on message buses. But taking a step back from all of this, what are our actual takeaways from the beginning here? And that is that a lot of it is about collaboration and interactions between systems.
It is. And I think I'll just skip ahead there because as we said here, we have tried to do this ourselves. We found it not to be a good thing. And implementing Kafka here, we're trying not to sort of step out into the wrong things to do and using Kafka as the sort of single global state for things. What we actually want to do is use Kafka to ship the state out to the silos and let the silos have their own states and help the silos sort of, ship that state and interact and ship their data and their state across to other instances of their own system and also to other systems that need that state. But
I think at this point we can also mention another big hurdle we had starting out since we have the time, because what we also saw is that in this moving more towards, why did we move towards more distributed system? Well, a major reason was uptime.
Yeah.
And what was is still extremely popular in our organization is the database team spins you up a SQL server and hey, you now have a 24/7 service. And we try to convince these people that, yes, but we run these huge queries that take down everything for everyone, and it kind of sucks. So first of all, this one thing that is 24/7 is not actually 24/7 if you have only one of it. And secondly, it's somewhere there over the network. Please, you say that you want to make truly 24/7 things that works when everything falls down, and then you have all of these data centers that sometimes lose connections between things, and we are there to clean up the mess or handle how the mess is cleaned up.
Yeah.
And no, if you actually want to be available, you have to have the data close to where you are using it.
Yeah, and that is why we're shipping the state to the system, to the service.
So, a bit more flesh on why we did that.
Yeah.
With our next challenge then, which is the cooperation.
Collaboration. Yeah, collaboration. Yeah, so the thing here is when I need to talk to somebody else, we in the old ways when we have REST APIs and stuff like that, you sort of get a bilateral contract between two services, and if we two need to interact, well, we'll have an agreement, and if I need to interact with him, well, I'll need another agreement, and that just grows and grows and grows and grows. So the thing here is that we need to sort of, or we're using Kafka to sort of find a foothold, a contractual foothold for how we are going to do transactions, how we're going to speak together. So this isn't for those of you who've seen Kafka before and talked and used Kafka before. This is sort of child's learning, or the first thing that you learn. You have a producer, you have a consumer, you have the topic in the middle. The topic sort of separates the producer from the consumer, so they're no longer sort of highly integrated or tight coupled. And you also have the schema here, schema registry, to have sort of the data contract, to know what can you find, what sort of data do you find on the topic. So we use this to say that, well, we know that the data contract is so and so for that topic. So the consumer knows about something about the stuff that it's getting from the producer. And also, so you can call that a data contract. That is something that if you're going to use REST APIs, you need to involve some other technologies and stuff like that. But yeah, you need to sort of create a third party or something. In the Kafka universe, you have the schema registry that handles this for you. Okay, so you have the data contract. We know the shape of data. Then you have, how are we going to transfer the data? Well, Kafka itself is a transactional contract. It is a standard for transporting data between two people. So you have the protocols, we know how we're going to sort of speak together, and we speak through Kafka.
Yeah, and that this is actually standardized and extremely simple. You have actually two interactions. You have produce data and you have consume data is such a huge step for the landscape we're in, because was it like 6 years ago, the Department of Health was still on that all API definitions should be in Norwegian, and we were like, .NET does really not like Norwegian letters, so we don't want to. I think we actually won out in the end. All of the APIs are still in English, but yeah, getting the sector around us to actually figure out how they want to collaborate. Is it SOAP? Is it REST? Is it now slowly moving to binary formats for more performance, less strain on our centers?
Yeah, historically speaking, we have been trying to implement standard for 20 years. We haven't gotten one step either. So I think that for us, implementing this inside of Norsk between our services will help us sort of, we don't have to talk about how we're going to transport data. We don't even need to talk much about how the shape of data is, because it's the producer's responsibility, and he puts it into the schema registry, and the consumer can look at it and make up his own mind. And well, if there's any problems, go talk to the producer. They're people, they're there. So
not on your team.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. So we think that this is a sort of the two types of thing that sort of settles some disputes, settles some arguments that we just don't need anymore. From now on, you can talk about how are you going to use that data.
Yeah.
Be more productive.
Yeah, actually focus on collaborating, even though you grew up as giant silos. And to an extent, this has not only arisen from the products being fairly big and complex themselves to some degree, like the journaling system and the prescriptions system have surprisingly little in common, and they have even less in common with, say, the addressing system. And also we faced that in a lot of cases, this was also actually supported by legal means through law. Because, for instance, I think it was the prescriptions database, the lawmakers figured out that, yes, digital prescriptions is something for the future we are in now in the 2000s, the noughties, the 10s, around then. And so, okay, we need to transfer prescription data. So we need a database, they call it. Cool. What is a database? Well, the law now mandates that prescriptions shall be done using Oracle, which was genius. So it is deeply founded not only in the products themselves and in the teams, but also through much of the structure surrounding it.
Yeah.
And the challenges we have been working very much on has not really been, I mean, as the advertising material says, using Kafka is fairly easy. And even the examples, even if you don't know it, are simple. You produce, you consume, you agree on the shape of data. You're done. That's the easy part.
So, and one of the things here that you're saying is that the silos, they are anchored in the law. So breaking down the silos, it will be really hard. So why not just use the silos as the good things that they could be?
Yeah, I mean, they organize a lot of their own domains. They don't bleed information over to others that don't need it. They have strong teams really knowing the subject matter, which is good. And they ship the product reliably, which is good. We actually deliver a huge value for the citizens in the end, even if it's hard to see that the tiny system integration you flicked on that is used by this one patient journal provider in some future release actually does anything today. But yeah, no, in some it actually it does things. Really a lot of our work has been focusing on there are better ways to interact. You don't have to spend months, years on designing APIs together, like how shall we talk? We can use Kafka for that. And also we sink tons of resources into being reliably available for the services that needs us. Also, hey, you can actually use Kafka for that. So that's a lot of where we come from and what we are truly trying to solve.
Yeah.
Now the transition to this slide is kind of broken. Some of our teams coined the new term legal-driven development as opposed to test-driven development because not only are databases specified in law, but other things as well. So, but fear not, testers are fairly rigid. They want things in a certain way and are never happy. We talked to the lawyers on some of our products and they're so easy to work with. They're actually agile. They're like, oh, you have this problem. We can look into it. The contract says you can do that.
Yeah.
Or if it cannot, hey, let's help you make a new contract that can do it. So, fun part for work life.
Yeah.
And now that we are at the 21-minute mark, we almost delivered on time this day.
Yeah.
On our third try of this.
Yeah. I'm fairly happy. Yeah. We're talking on Wednesday on the Kafka Summit. We'll go into more depth of securing data, how we secure data, and how we securely work with data. Because, well, since we are sort of a data hub for the Norwegian health sector, we have a lot of confidential data flowing through us. So, yeah.
Yeah, it'll be fun. More the technicalities there. If you think some of the domain or our mess ups are fun, we did a whole hour about it on NSC a couple of years ago. That was fun to do. Not our best presentation when I review it. I mean, the content was good, but my presentation technique was not good.
Okay. Yeah.
And yeah, that's it.
I think so. Yeah. Any questions?
Yeah, so you've been running Kafka for 2-3 years now. That's relatively long in the Kafka space. You know, Kafka, even though Kafka's been around for a long time, it's still relatively long. Have you guys had any major failures with any of your single Kafka cluster, any Kafka cluster that you run, and how did your systems react?
Have we
have had
screwed ups? Yeah, we have some. Yeah, but we've been fairly true to the sort of. We've talked to experts. They've given some good advice. We try to follow them because we see that they are really good advice, and that is one of the things that we see internally as well. When we don't follow the expert advice, we use extra time, things go slow, and not with a high throughput type of slow, but you use 6 months instead of 2 weeks development stuff. So a really important note to have areas, we are implementing Kafka sort of as a way to speed up development because, we need more. Yeah, the whole sector needs better solutions faster. So that's one of the things here. But screw ups, we had one on Friday, didn't we?
Yeah, I mean, we had the occasional things go down. Friday, 2 of our 3 production brokers went down because somebody patched some disks and VMware lost the health check. So it was like, hey, these VMs aren't doing anything. Let's reboot them at the same time because why not? So some of our users discovered this in their logs that couldn't produce to Kafka and were a bit like, what's wrong? But as we had a previous fallout, I think it was a couple of months ago now, where some networking was down in the data center we were in, and we were basically the first ones to actually notice that something was wrong and that came back again, and our users were like, hey, we saw that our things went down and came back up and everything just worked, so they were happy. But I would say that was so much like screw-ups as
planned.
No, I mean that was like technical pieces failing and could have been done better. Our failings, I would say, is more that we knew that we should have pushed use of schemas harder, but we didn't. Yeah. Initially, a very, very simple cluster was set up in Azure while we were still in the public cloud and hadn't rained down thanks to the Schrems judgments. So,
and we can't get rid of that now because people want to use it for testing and stuff like that. But we'll talk a bit about that on Wednesday. But our team, especially Simon, he's really into trying to get stuff to work locally as well as in everywhere else we use stuff. But I think we haven't done too much damage to our systems, and as we try to sort of move away from the what's it called, this monolithic thinking, over to having multiple instances of services, and using Kafka as a tool to sort of get what's it called, degradation. Things can go wrong, but when things normalize, they should normalize automatically. That is something that we strive for.
And Kafka has really been a great help there, because a lot of our problems have been that you have these single systems that fail and everything depends on them, and that hurts. While Kafka is essentially made to be distributed and plastic in and of itself. So it's been very much more reliable than whatever we have been running before.
Yeah. And we have had fallouts in network, fallouts in NDS.
I mean, we have a huge operations organization. When we set up this, it was like a proof of concept. So you make do with whatever you get. Here's a dashboard, click on make some Red Hat VMs. So we did, and it's like, are all these running on the same rack? We don't know. Are they on the same box? We don't know. This should probably be fixed. Operations guys, do you have time for us? No, it's not a proper product yet. No. So I guess we're on our own. But it held up surprisingly well given the circumstances.
Extremely well. People have warned us that Kafka is hard to operate yourself.
It's a learning process to get it up.
It's like getting a puppy, somebody told us. But
I'll take it over running on-prem service bus and SQL service myself any day.
Yeah, no problem. But I would say that puppy, you don't have to feed it as much. You don't give it too much water. And it hasn't died yet. So
we are very happy.
I would.
To come about Kafka being hard to operate. I just want to know: are you running your Kafka yourself as a self-managed Kafka installation, or you're using fully managed?
No, we're not fully managed. We could say something about that, because Norsk Helsenett the organization is founded on us being the network between every hospital in Norway. So we have our own network, physical network,
alternative to internet. It's completely discoupled for crisis and all of that.
We have a whole lot of data centers to handle peace and war, basically. So the systems we build, it needs to just work, basically, every time, every day, no problem. And that is why we have our own data centers and a whole lot of people working, operating our systems, our networks, and stuff like that. And yeah, we have our own servers, our own racks, our own Kubernetes is running in our data centers. Yeah.
How it works on email before.
Yeah.
We run our own SMTP servers. Yeah, we do.
So
That's how it works.
So what is that? Are you using plain Kafka or Streamzy Kafka? Which kind of Kafka?
We are now using a plain Kafka. I think the POC was proof of concept was using Confluent, sorry to say, but Confluent's open source, or it's not called open source, it's called
community.
community first.
Yeah.
And we did this before the Streamzy operators. So we have set this up on Red Hat servers using Docker and some open source tools, and yeah,
You did fun stuff.
I did fun stuff.
And we made it work really well.
Yeah, and the thing
And
here,
we are 5 minutes over time because
Who
we have
cares?
to be But yeah, good questions.
are there any more questions?
What time? Just about the migration, how is that working? Are you just putting the new integration requirements onto the new platforms that come up, or are you steadily moving older things across? And if you're steadily moving the older things across, kind of how much are you just putting the point-to-point through as a pipe, and how much are you looking at the information architecture and rationalizing it and standardizing it as you go? Wow. Sorry. I'm just like judging that's an incredibly difficult judgment to make, hearing your expertise doing it.
And that is a difficult answer to give.
No. It's easy. The project managers would set up a project for this. We are saying that we still haven't increased the base 1 terabyte size disks. You can just copy everything over, get a new fancy management tooling, clean up afterwards, and be done with it. It's really simple at the scale we're at.
I think she's asking how we're doing the old monolith. Over
that part. Yeah, not internal platforms. Yeah.
Yeah. So
very slowly.
how much time do we get? Well, the easy part here is some of the things that we're doing it from scratch, and then we'll just use Kafka's the pipeline, and we'll produce to it and consume to do that type of systems design, we call it. We don't use the word architecture. That's a no. But systems design is okay, yeah. That's our organization. The rest of the world does actually do architecture, but yeah,
you think through things.
Yeah, we think through things. But we have a lot of old monolithic systems, and we know our advice is that connectors are pretty smart to use to connect to the database and stream the data out to topics.
So you're using CDC to get it out?
We are still working on finding a product manager that wants to take the risk on it.
Yeah.
But we are very much for it.
We have tried all the other things that the Kafka community have tried up through the years and said that, well, this doesn't work and that doesn't work. And yeah, we are trying it all just to get to this worked. So yeah, I hope I didn't get that on film. But yeah, that is where we're at. We
have some experience with it ourselves.
Yeah, ourselves.
So we are very confident that it should work and it should make the lives of the teams much easier. For now, they have taken piecemeal some integrations of some systems, some interfaces, and moved data in. Not at the rate we would like. For some external data we're fetching in from the outside, like the registry of companies in Norway. That was a fairly easy data set to get in. The people's registry is moving there surprisingly fast, I think.
So every person in Norway is in Kafka now. Yeah.
Multiple Kafkas, I think.
Yeah, multiple.
Is the tax authority on Kafka?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Some other organizations around us are on Kafka, but we don't speak Kafka to those organizations yet, but it will come. I think it will come. I do think. But yeah, the thing that you're asking is something that we don't have.
I mean, we have
How to-
talked a lot about how it can be
Can
done
be.
for many systems.
Yeah.
I've made quite a bit of examples on how to do it actually. So,
But when we have done it, we will tell you. Okay.
because I mean, the fun thing
Always a
here
work in
is
progress.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
not like that. It's always a work in progress. But
Yeah.
yeah, thanks for giving us your insight.
Come see us on Wednesday.